and discuss for rate. And vivos your answer. This is the record of my participation in the Andymation project.
This is day 228 of turning Lord of the Rings into the world's longest flipbook.
Every single shot.
I think that sums up the project pretty well. I will leave Andy's links in the description. Andy started this crazy project and called other crazy people from all over the world to join him in this madness, and I am one of these crazy people. The answer to the call begins with choosing the clip. While I checked the available clips, I found this particular scene that had caught my attention the first time I watched the movie. Arwen crosses the river with Frodo and invokes the protection of her people, which comes upon the Nazgûl, like a float in the shape of wide horses. Later, I discovered that scene was adapted for the film. In the books, it is Glorfindel who comes to the aid of Aragorn and the hobbits, and Frodo is alone riding Asphaleth when he crosses the river, but that's a topic for another time. Okay, I chose the clip, I got the materials and made available, and now I need to choose which technique I was going to use. I wasn't sure which technique to use, ink or graphite, the two techniques I'm most comfortable with. In the end, I chose ink, because with this technique I could achieve a good result in less time. This was my first time in making a flipbook, and I wasn't entirely sure how to save time, which was the most precious asset of the project. I started the drawings 1 month late, cause at the point the only way to get the paper was through my cousin, bringing it from US. Later, and made it available on Amazon, but that happened some time afterward. At this point, I need to thank my cousin. Valeu, Fia, brigadão. I began in late May or early June, aiming to finish by August 8. That gave me about 2 months to complete the clips. At the time, I was working around 12 hours a day from Monday to Friday, which left only the weekends to work in the drawings. It didn't take long to realize the scale of the madness.
You're a liar! You're a liar!
I began using ink, as I usually do, preserving the light areas and working only in the lighter background first. The initial idea was to complete all the frames this way and then go back to refine and darken the deeper areas. Along the way, some changes in direction are necessary. The main one was the shift in technique in a very specific part. I chose this clip for 3 reasons. With this nearly 10 seconds, I could draw the Nazgûl, Arwen, and the Flood. After finishing the lighter layer of the clip, I began the retouching and detailing phase. At that moment, I realized that adapting details to Arwen's frames would take much longer in ink than if I did them in graphite. In fact, it's a very brief moment. Only 8 frames of this clip, less than 1 second of screen time. But I want these 8 frames to be the best I could possibly make. So I decided to abandon the 8 ink frames I had already done and redo them in graphite. A second aspect helping me make that decision, it would strengthen the visual position between good and evil in the scene. The Nazgûl were represented in brush ink, with strong contrast and a rougher appearance. Arwen would be represented more softly and delicately in graphite, portrayed as beautifully as possible, however brief her appearance. And finally the flood. This third element of the scene I decided to hold being in color. I also chose to not draw the landscape, in order to highlight the flood rushing down the river. It's worth mentioning that when I made this decision, I was hoping the colleague who created the previous clips had represented the landscape. That way my choice would feel clearer. Fortunately, from what I saw on the Discord group, Eru Iluvatar made sure that happened. Here, I chose to use blue ink very fluid to represent the water. All that remained was to create a digital record of the frames, a safety measure in the case of the clips were lost during the shipping. Here, I use Andy's idea to photograph the pages flat. To do that, I use my woodworking skills to build my own version of the vacuum box. Since I don't have a mini air compressor, I connect it to a vacuum cleaner instead. The good part was the strong suction. The bad part was enduring the noise throughout the process. After much work and overcoming a series of challenges, I finally finished drawing the clips. I wasn't able to meet the August 8th deadline, but Andy extended to September 12th, and that was a deadline I was determined to meet, especially since the burden was already heavy. The end of the journey was near. After work every weekend for 3 months, nearly 130 frames, counting mistakes and changes, averaging about an hour and a half per frame, after digitizing and sending the clips, I could finally see my part of the story fulfilled.
Yeah, so it's pretty easy. So we have all of our books right here, the ones that I haven't done yet.
That's my Flipbook.
So all of them have like numbers on them, like this one. So it has like our section, and we have our computer over here, type it in section, the scene, and then they all have like our number from each page. So basically I just come over to the computer, use watercolor one. See, it's not very flat at all. Yeah, the watercolor ones, they're so pretty and they're so cool, but they do not like flat. I'll line it up. So I just take a little thing. It'll stay down. Sometimes it takes a sec. It really won't lay flat. And there we go.
And this is me seeing my Flipbook safe and sound after traveling more than 10,000 kilometers. But this is not the truly end. That will only comes to the same way it began, with the end's announcement. No longer a summons to aid him, but a call to gather and behold the fulfillment of this great journey.
Rimonin ruinen nanina laja. Nino hitaigle lasta vester. Rimonin ruinen danin hulaya.